Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, Joey Mannarino, he needs to wear a bra, is going off on people from the third world. And I'm telling you, more and more, I'm starting to think about how we in the first world have become extremely rude and demeaning towards people who are in a lower spot in life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made some people at the pinnacle of society, and some people are so low that they are compressed under the burden of civilization, of expectation, of standards, of the economy. They just have no status and they feel like there's no way out. Things feel hopeless. They're condensed in small spaces. And you can be just at the top of that pyramid with nothing on top of you, just a blue sky above. There's no level there. You're looking around, you're thinking, I'm at the top. And you get this ego. You think you're so important, you're haughty. Your chest is just filled with hot air. And then something happens, and the law can make you so destitute to where you're so low, you might as well be under the foundation. Think about when we die, how we're gonna be in these graves. We're gonna be placed down within the earth. And that's something. We don't get cremated and our ashes blown into the wind. Put into the earth. So these people in their high-rise jobs, their corner offices, maybe they got a villa on some tall hill, right? They're in Italy or something. And they just think, look at this stuff all around me. I'm in this gilded palace. I have this wonderful life. Luxurious items everywhere. I'm so much better than everyone else. We have to be very careful of that ego. Because we too can be placed upon our bellies, become beggars, become so destitute that we won't even recognize where we're at. We have to be careful with the way in which we view people who are in poverty. There's some people who are lazy, won't help themselves, and there's other people who simply don't have the economic opportunities, and we don't realize how much work it takes to make areas have a sustained economy. And it's even more strange when you examine how economies rise and fall in the capitalist system, those boom and bust cycles. And prosperity is not within the grips of any civilization forever. Earth is riddled with just these magnificent ruins whose leaders, we don't even know their names. Some of them we know, they were a leader for this time, but we don't know the ins and outs. How many tourist attractions where we're like, wow, look at that. And so we have to have this fear of Allah and not think that we're better than people just because we have these fiat currencies. You go to your bank account, you see the money, that's numbers on a screen. That bank can literally not give you your money. Think about when there was a run on the banks during the Great Depression, some banks wouldn't give out the money to the people. And a bank can freeze your bank account, and you're going to have to litigate to get that money back. When people criticize some groups, they get debanked. The whole banking system, it's like you don't automatically have a right to use a bank. It's a private business when you look at it. And if you can't put your money everywhere, you just got all your money in your home, well, thieves are going to come up in there and take you hostage and take all your cash. And once you lose all your money and you don't have the ability to flex on people, you'll be in the trenches with everyone else. And so I think when you look at the hierarchy structure, you got to really examine that you can get so low in life that you'll be under the pyramid. When you think about punishments that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give us, it'll be pretty scary. Hell is not a place of fun. And we are told about having a spacious grave versus a compressed small grave. And time in small spaces is quite difficult. And when you're in a small space that's submerged, that's even worse. Now, when someone is dealing with poverty, they're dealing with, wow, not only their brain, like their spiritual nature feels like, oh, this is no way out, this is tight. Their chest becomes compressed, there's a lot of misery, and they just feel like they're never going to get a leg up, they're never going to get out. And so, you have to watch out with how you treat those people. Some people, like I said, they don't have any optimism. They're just nihilistic. But then there's people who have delusions of grandeur, who aren't practical, they're not reasonable, and you're trying to help them take practical steps to having financial security, but they don't, they're just thinking they're going to be the next Elon Musk, so their dreams are a bit delusional. And so you have to really take a step back and see, how can I work with this person? And we also have to understand that all of our provisions come from Allah the Mighty and Sublime. And we have to recognize that first world nations can definitely go down, and we have to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we even have access to the things we have access to in the first world. Hospitals, certain medical specialists, pretty much water that we can turn it hot or cold on demand, washing machines, drying machines. We have the ability to have different kinds of leisure, to have products from all around the world on our shelves. That can be taken, okay? And we as individuals don't have too much of a say of the destiny of our country. The politicians and the banking people and the elites, they can meddle with our affairs and make our lives very difficult. Some people think they're higher in status than they really are. And when you look about the world and you look at how some people will be rich in their community, but they go to another country, they're not even that high on the scale. And the higher up you go, the smaller the space, and it's a nasty way of survival. So wherever Allah places you in the hierarchy of life, you have to be in a state of gratitude. All praise is due to Allah. Which of your favors of your Lord will you deny? If you become this sort of like, I'm untouchable, I'm better than you because I was born over here, you should be mindful, because you may live through a time where your country collapses, and you'll be so far away from even the base of the pyramid that you'll be submerged in this sort of pit of misery. And when someone who LARPs as a Christian, who really feels untouchable, starts to just mock people from countries that are less developed, you have to take a step back and realize you're witnessing a very deluded and polluted person. Clearly, this guy Joey is extremely vulgar. It's interesting how these Christ is King people, time and time again, show that their disdain for the poor is just overwhelmingly part of their personality. If you despise the poor, you really, I don't think, have reflected enough on what our life purpose is. As a Muslim, we're here to worship Allah. Each one of us is going to have our own allotments in life. Some will have money, some won't. Some will be lazy, some won't. Some will strive and never succeed. We have to be very cautious of thinking our boat can't sink. that our homes can't be torched. Examine wildfires wiping out orchards. Earthquakes. You have this beautiful building, you think you hired the best engineers, and suddenly collapse, pancake. You on your fancy, ski vacation, all of a sudden your skiing avalanche comes, bury you in the snow, no one finds you, you're frozen. It thaws, birds eat you. You see, you're on a nice cruise ship. Some waves stir up, the engines falter on the ship, you're Titanic. You built a nice house, tornado comes, done tore it up, that's it. Your insurance company won't allow you to claim anything, you don't get what you got for it, you don't get that money back really, you lost on investments. Tons of things can happen to you. You were a star basketball player, you get into an accident, boom, you can't play anymore. You were working in a lab, and then some chemical spill happened, and now you got some bad cancer, and you're donezo. You may have been born into a certain position. There's no guarantee you will stay there. Being kind to the immigrant, incorporating them into the American life, showing them their way around, learning from them and what they have to offer, because each person brings something, bad and good. Each domestic citizen has good and bad. Some habits that need to change and some that need to be brought out to fruition. Everyone has something to bring and change, to cease, to start. And that's the sort of dynamicism of being a human and of all the civilizations that have existed through time till today. So, this hatred of the immigrant, the scapegoating of the immigrant, and the fetishization of, well, if you're born here, you must automatically be good, is quite odd. But the third world insults that a lot of these MAGA Christians, these Republican Christians are doing is horrendous. It's heartbreaking, really. Because they think they're untouchable, that they'll never be destitute, that they'll never be poor, that they themselves will never be refugees or immigrants. They collectively blame all immigrants, all refugees, for the actions of a few, while making excuses for their general groups. It's really right odd. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from this type of extreme arrogance. Ameen.